Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. In this video, we've got the UCAN Foundation, a charity which provides support for former and current cast members of reality TV, a nonprofit responding to Nick Viall's claims about what their campaign is all about. Nick Viall was, of course, on Howie Mandel's podcast and, probably mischaracterized in a few different ways what their efforts are all about. Well, luckily on the internet, you can respond. And with their platform, they did just that. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals. Also, don't forget I'm on Patreon every day, including right after this episode, patreon.com/Dave Neal. And every afternoon, Bachelor Rush Hour, the hit podcast. Listen to the hit podcast, Bachelor Rush Hour, and hear what all the fans are claiming is a podcast that just copies Reality Steve. That's a 1-star review, folks. No, seriously, though, we've got tons of great people out there who are loving what we do every afternoon. Bachelor Rush Hour, the hit podcast. Starting Monday, on Cyber Monday, we're moving to 2 times a day. That's right. Somebody doesn't like the content I make. We've got 4 videos, 3 podcasts, 2 Patreons, and a partridge in a pear tree. So anyway, here we have the UCAN Foundation. They say, have you listened to last week's episode of Howie Mandel Does Stuff with guest Nick Viall? The guest made multiple claims about UCAN that misrepresent our mission as a nonprofit organization, and then the UCAN Foundation offers their thoughts. Now, it's important to know that one of the founders of the UCAN Foundation, Nick Thompson, wrote this. It's always frustrating when someone wants to talk about you without talking to you. How interesting. And look, Rachel Levis said, thank you for clarifying these misconceptions. You're doing amazing work. And here we have what they had to say. We ask fans for donations to fund cast members' therapy. Fact or fiction? They say fiction. Your donations are not directly paying for therapy sessions for cast members. We believe the production and distribution companies should be responsible for providing the care, not you. Every dollar donated goes directly towards furthering our mission and advocating for the mental health and rights of cast members. Yeah, look, it'd be nice to offer one-on-one therapy for everybody, but what you can do with a platform is really try to fight for change. So we're not putting Band-Aids on situations. Rather than put a Band-Aid on a situation every time a cast member of reality TV is scorned, how about fix the problems that lead to that in the first place, which are in part societal, which is people believing that this is actually real, and it's also the damages that producers and that executive producers are doing towards the cast members. And I do want to point out here, we have this guy named Maddie says, I'm starting to become sick of your organization's stance against producers. Most reality TV producers are creative workers who work for unsustainable wages and are denied health care and benefits. We are not villains. Go after the people who sign the checks, production companies and networks. They are the ones profiting off of our exploitation, not the on-set producers. And again, a good response from Dr. Isabel Morley here says, we agree with you. We're actually on the same side. I think the issue is the gap in knowledge. When we say producers in a post, people understand it as executive producers, EPs, whereas you have more specific knowledge that there are many, many producers who don't get to make decisions. Yeah, in reality TV, everyone's pretty much labeled a producer. But the truth is, it's the decision makers, the people that can really, the top of the tier, right? The people that run the production companies and the executives. That's who you need to fight for. So anyway, what did Nick actually say about UCAN Foundation? Have a listen.
I think reality stars should be getting therapy. Right?
Oh.
I didn't say that.
No, what did you say?
It was about
the
foundation.
I don't think people should ask fans for donations for their therapy. Yeah.
So very simple way he put it, which the UCAN Foundation says, that's not what we're doing. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a donation page. There may be therapy that could be provided based on those donations, but the cause is greater than asking people for mental health. And by the way, this is late stage capitalism. We live in one of the greatest, if not the greatest, by all means, the wealthiest country in the world. And people don't have access to simple things like medical attention when they need it. We have people that are goddamn heroes like Mary Lou Retton, who won the 1984 gold medal for our United States of America in the all-around women's gymnastic competition. And what does she have to do? She gets the flu. She gets a dirty lung. And what does she have to do with that dirty lung? She needs a GoFundMe because she can't afford health care. And that's the world we live in right now. And it's important whether it's a dirty lung from the flu or pneumonia or whatever the hell she had, or whether it's issues in the brain. And if you got a dusty brain and some depression going on, we should have the ability to contact professionals to help us through all of that. The fact that Nick has a problem with people that are trying to do good, and he goes, well, but they're going on podcasts. They wouldn't, if they had gotten more out of the show, they wouldn't care so much about this. Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares why they created the foundation? Irrelevant. Objection, Your Honor. Immaterial. I don't know. I'm just still learning my objections here. But either way, just ridiculous. Number 2, people know what they sign up for the most part. That's the claim he makes. And they say fiction. The nature of unscripted entertainment makes it impossible for cast to know the full extent of what they sign up for. Producers rely on shock, surprise, and deprivation tactics to elicit drama, none of which is disclosed ahead of time. Yes, I say the same thing over and over. When he says people know what they signed up for, that's like going to an all-you-can-eat buffet and then getting the shits. You go, what? Well, you knew what you signed up for. It's like, yeah, I knew what I signed up for. I didn't think the chicken cacciatore was going to be left on the burners too long and develop salmonella poisoning, and I got to flush my bowels for 3 days straight. But you knew what you signed up for, you know? Okay, this episode brought to you by Golden Corral. All right, so anyway, he says, you know what you signed up for. And then they talk about the pressures here. So let's go to this other clip here. Like, again, from yesterday's content. And by the way, for every person who gives me a 1-star review, you have no idea how much I'm crushing it right now. I just worked Mary Lou Retton and Chicken Cacciatore into the same rant improvised, okay? A little dust off my shoulder on this Thanksgiving Eve.
Like what kind? What do you mean? I felt a lot of pressure. Yeah. But I think most of the damage and the pressure comes from the aftermath of the show.
Right.
Listen, I'm not on every production set out there, so I can't speak to the working conditions that are going on.
The backpedaling.
But I do know they're pretty upfront with what people are signing up for, at least to the extent of you're going to be...
That doesn't mean anything, though.
Well, and I love that Howie Mandel goes, that doesn't mean anything. He immediately calls Nick out and says, look, it doesn't matter if you knew what you signed up for. And that's so stupid if people say, oh, you knew what you signed up for. Oh, okay, I guess we shouldn't look into CTE in the NFL. These NFL football players knew what they signed up for, and then we have high suicide rates in the NFL. We have Chris Benoit of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation murdering his family and then committing suicide. Oh, but they knew what they signed up for. No, their brains have been turned to mush. It's important to study that because just because football players knew what they signed up for doesn't mean they weren't in a situation where they felt desperate and needed to earn a paycheck by rattling their brains. You can look at this in so many different ways. You can literally just sweep up Nick's points with just logic that says it's not about knowing what you signed up for. Well, you know, you got in a car accident and died because the road had a sort of pothole that caused damage. You knew what you signed up for when you got on the highway. I mean, look, you know what I mean? Oh, guys, I mean, we literally, it's too easy. It's too easy to refute all of this. The next one, people are responsible for their own mental health, fact or fiction. The UCAN response is, we agree that individuals should prioritize their own mental health. In reality TV, many producers are deliberately inflicting trauma, making it difficult for cast to prioritize their mental health on their own. Even the most stable individual can struggle in an environment that supports toxicity. So there they are, and then their final, people can do things on their own to combat negativity after the release of their show season. They say fact or fiction. It is impossible for cast members to know how they will be portrayed or how audiences will react once their show season airs. We agree that things like avoiding DMs and blocking accounts that leave hateful comments can help protect mental health. It is unrealistic to expect cast members to have the tools to manage public opinions and protect their mental health without access to trustworthy support and sources. So rather than just slam Nick, the UCAN Foundation uses that and parlays that energy to say, well, Nick, you're actually wrong, and we're here to help you. So that's the UCAN Foundation, here to help Nick. And then someone says, Nick wants to stop your organization because then he won't have guests for his show. I mean, look, there's always going to be drama that comes from reality TV. There's always going to be situations that are fun to watch as audience members. And the issue here is that you can enjoy the show for what it is and not need to take yourself to Instagram. Let's actually go over to Kelly Johns. She posted a hilarious response today, but not every post or not every response is hilarious, right? Like, so Kelly Johns posts a response to somebody who was throwing her hate on her social media. What a great response. But, Kelly's she's a comedian. She knows how to deal with this. So she got this comment from someone named Rosemary that said, "You're not funny." I'm actually surprised that Rosemary spelled "you're" right, but she did. So good for her. And then Kelly, like I do, responded in jest and said, "Love my fans on Facebook." And then the next post, Kelly looked into Rosemary where it says, "Jesus loves you. You are God's own special treasure." And believe it or not, and if I were Kelly, I would have said, "You know what, Kelly? You should respond Jesus loves you to her to let her know how ridiculous her hateful comment was." And of course, Kelly did just that. Rosemary said, "You're not funny." Kelly responds, "Jesus loves you. You are God's own special treasure." I mean, and that's genius, but not everyone can be as witty and charming as one Kelly Johns. And now either way, let's go back here to the UCAN Foundation. Here's what Nick Thompson had to say about how we can still enjoy watching reality TV, but educate ourselves as the consumer to what reality TV really is.
A TV show should be viewed as entertainment in the same way that WWE Pro Wrestling is. WWE is not considered a sport because of its predetermined outcomes. Instead, it's considered sports entertainment because it's loosely scripted, competitive, and delivers theatrical performances. Reality shows share these same types of attributes. Characters are cast in roles that can lead to theatrical portrayals of themselves. Scenes are loosely scripted, often predetermined, and they even sometimes have a competition element. The big difference is that reality cast members have no control or knowledge of how their character is going to be portrayed, and oftentimes that's a predetermined character they have no control over. So reality TV should be viewed as entertainment in the same way as WWE. Both can be entertaining, but neither should be considered reality.
It's very interesting. And when we look at, I'm actually going to jump over here real quick to Howie Mandel's other videos that he has here. So when we talk about the idea that producers are going to script what happens on a season, we actually can look at a Game of Roses, which was from the same interview, Howie Mandel interviewing Nick Viall, How to Win the Bachelor. Game of Roses put together ways that you can get the producer's attention. So literally in this book, it essentially is ways to get the producer's attention so that they will see you as a viable character, give you the screen time. Sometimes that means you become the villain. Sometimes it means you become the person who shares the sob story or whatever the case may be. But there is a formula to how producers script it all, just like in wrestling, there's a formula to the story arc of the wrestling that happens. Does it hurt when a wrestler pile drives another wrestler into the mat? Yeah, to an extent, it hurts. Does it hurt when someone lashes out on someone else on reality TV? Yeah, I'm sure it hurts. But we have to remember the environment, the arena, the wrestling ring of reality TV is just that. It is controlled, Truman Show-like, in the sense that they're sleep deprived, they are put in heightened situations, they're taking their phones away, they're put in the same situations that cults use to control people, and we need to do a better job. The UCAN Foundation is on the right side of this to expose audience and educate them as best as possible to let them know everything you're watching play out on reality TV isn't necessarily true reality. But they said those words themselves. And again, a lot of people in my audience that feel like they might have higher IQs and watch this and we don't get too worked up about it. Every time there's a Cat Izzo, every time there's a Shanae, every time there's one of these characters, we have to remember they're just wrestlers in the ring. Enjoy it, have your popcorn, and stay the fuck out of their DMs. If we can begin to do that, maybe we can get back to just enjoying the show and not having it spill out into the streets. Let me know what you think. I'll be live on Patreon or leave me a 1-star review, whatever the hell you want to do. We'll be back right after this.